In a game that was simply never in doubt, not even for a second, the Florida Gators upset the number 9 ranked Texas Longhorns despite all their hype and money, and Arch Manning, the greatest thing since sliced bread. Florida Gators back on top.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to one of the best shows we could possibly give you, right? It's Locked On Gators after a victory, after upsetting number 9 ranked Texas. The oh so mighty, oh so feared Texas. 29-21. Florida Gators handled that one. Ron Roberts put on a defensive coaching just masterclass. Had Arch Manning in hell the entire time, right? Sure, touchdown late, and yes, absolutely. Like those final 2 minutes were tough. But Florida did it, right? DJ Lagway looked better than he's looked the entire season, despite looking like he was a bit banged up. Jaden Ball went over 100 yards again. Dallas Wilson in his debut, 6 catches, 111 yards, 2 touchdowns, just an absolute monster. It was a hell of a game, right? And the defense just absolutely balled out. 6 sacks on Arch Manning, 1 for Tyreek Sapp, 1 for Devin Moore, half a sack for Jaden Robinson, half a sack for Jaden Woods, 1.5 sacks for Brian Taylor Jr., a sack for Mekhi Boye-Rowe, and a sack for George Gums. Masterclass. Like there's no other way to put it. Just an absolute defensive clinic. Devin Moore's sack too came on a play where, and I said this to the Insider program, if you know what a Ron Roberts defense looks like, if you come out and you're lined up and on the boundary side, you don't put a wide receiver, that boundary corner is probably blitzing. Welcome to Ron Roberts defense. Like that's not uncommon because they're always going to have the corner on that side. And if he doesn't have another receiver to cover, he's probably blitzing, especially when they're pretty confident that you're going to be throwing the football. Yeah, they're coming after you because speed off the edge helps you a ton there. We're going to talk about a couple of things. There was the drive when Florida got the ball back with like 2-ish minutes left, or 3 minutes. And DJ Lagway throws the completion to Tony Livingston. Tony Livingston steps out of bounds, which is less than ideal, but Tony Livingston steps out of bounds. And then Texas gets an offside. And I know that a lot of Florida Gators fans went, okay, well, that's it. No, Texas got the offside intentionally, right? Because the odds that Texas, who had no timeouts, were going to get a stop twice from 2nd and 1, the odds weren't very likely there, right? So what they did is that they gave Florida a first down. They then got the stop before the 2-minute warning. Then they got 2 more stops and Florida punted. And on that same drive, we had the play with Billy Napier calling a timeout with about 1 minute and 6 seconds left, turning down the 10-second runoff. And I know that had Florida lost that game, that would have been what everybody blamed. The process there, I think, is still fine. I'm going to be honest. Like, I don't like it. I don't think I would have, like, if I'm trying to put myself in his shoes, if I'm trying to put myself in Billy Napier's shoes, like, I don't think I would have called a timeout there. But I also understand at left tackle, you have what? Austin Barber and then Fletcher Westphal, and Fletcher Westphal's out, I believe, still. And if he hasn't been out, he hasn't played yet this year with a wrist injury. So Fletcher's hasn't played yet. Then behind them, I don't even know who left tackle 3 would be in that situation. You don't want to be there. Austin Barber was the player who his helmet popped off. So if the helmet pops off with under 2 minutes left, then you have to either call timeout and you could bring that player back in, or you have to take the 10-second runoff and that player can't play the next play. So Billy called the timeout to keep Austin Barber in, who Austin Barber had, for most of the game, had been doing pretty well. And so you keep Austin Barber in. I'm not saying that I agree with it. I'm just saying that I don't think it was as awful a decision as many people are talking about it as. Had they lost the game, sure, people would have changed it. But regardless of whether or not you win or you lose, I think a lot of that came to just that being the logic behind it. You keep Austin Barber in on a crucial down, because if you don't have Austin Barber in, you're probably not gaining anything there anyway, right? So at least you keep him in, you maybe get the chance. And that's how it is. Again, I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying that I see the logic of it. Again, I don't agree with it. I see the logic there. Amazement said, we won this game at the line of scrimmage. Run game was dominant and D-line was all over Manning. Wilson's a stud. Glad he's finally healthy. Yeah, I mean, look, this is also like Florida did this against the greatest run defense known to man, right? Like Florida did this against the greatest run defense ever, despite it. Like, I know, I was Texas has been allowing 60 rushing yards per game. They played Ohio State week 1, then they played Colorado School of the Mines, then they played DeVry University, and then they played us watching the game, right? Like that's who their opponents were. It was nothing. They played nobodies. They played bums. And congratulations, you beat the crap out of bums. Something Florida didn't do earlier in the season. But what Florida did do is beat the crap out of you. Yeah, that's more impressive. I think everybody can see that. Florida 159 rushing yards, 4.3 yards per carry. And a lot of that happened later on. Or a lot of that slowed down later on. A lot of it happened early on. Juan Manuel V said, hey, Brandon Olsen, congratulations to you and the Gators. I'm a fan of that defense, man. That defense is the reason Florida's weathering the storm. Defense plus Wilson equals a dangerous team. Yeah, defense in this game was just incredible. Just incredible. Simon says, whoops, says, how about throwing that late INT when you could have run the ball? If that's a touchdown, you don't make the complaint. And so I think that's my rule, right? That's the rule of how I look at things, is that if the play would have worked and you wouldn't have complained, then you're not actually mad about the play call. You're mad about the result. Like, and also look, bad decision, bad ball because DJ's arm got hit. I'm fine with throwing that. I am. You've been running the ball consistently. They've been hammering down on the run. Take the shot and make them back off a little bit. It didn't work out the way. I probably wouldn't have done that, but I get it. I understand the logic there. And again, had that worked out and that had been a touchdown, you'd have been like, oh, way to let him hang, Billy, way to go. Like you wouldn't have cared about it. I think a lot of people wouldn't have cared. So I don't care about that. Again, like football, I know that we judge football based off the results, but really football is a process-oriented thing, right? It's about, like, again, if Billy called the timeout to keep Barber in, they ran right behind Barber and they got the first down, no one would have really cared that much. But since they didn't and they punted, everybody wants to look back on it and magnify that issue. There are plenty of things Billy did wrong. There are plenty of things Billy does wrong. Again, I'm not saying that I agree with everything, but if you could at least see the logic, I don't think you need to agree with it. And that's where I am with that throw that DJ Lagway threw the pick on. That's where I am with the timeout. Again, neither things that I think I would have done, but it's where we are now. That's kind of where I stand there. What's up, No Scholarship? How you guys doing? And look, yeah, like I know that there's going to be people mad about things. There's going to be people. Look, I will say this. This one win does not change anything about me wanting Billy Napier fired. Just because I see the chat talking about, oh, like you guys, you're not talking about that now. Like, yeah, I didn't talk about it before the game. I talk about it when I talk about it. I don't talk about it all day, every day. That's a waste of my time. But this was a hell of a game, right? This was. Again, I hate that it seemingly takes a month for this team to get into it, but hell of a game. Dallas Wilson back. He's a baller. No other way to put it. He's just a monster. Like, there's a reason that when he was getting healthy, we were like, oh, demon home. Like he did it. DJ Lagway throwing horns down. I don't think I ever expected that. Texas quarterback playing for Florida throws the horns down at Texas in the swamp. I don't think I ever expected that one. But look, this was Billy. Like that first drive was the scripted drives that we talked about with Billy. I don't know, like 2 years ago. I feel like last year we didn't talk much about the scripted drives. I feel like this year we haven't talked much about the scripted drives. But that was like 2 years ago. I feel like Billy was kind of cooking on scripted drives. The run game was working. They ran a lot more duo. They were making things happen. They were doing things well. At some point, execution kind of started falling apart. I think maybe guys just getting a little bit gassed. But look, Florida, you won that game handedly. Let me rephrase that. You had that game in hand for basically all of it, right? Like, I'm not going to say you won handedly because really you won by 8 in a game where, yeah, you maybe could have won by more. Maybe it shouldn't have been as close, but you won that. You had that game in hand from jump. Really, like from the start of the game, when Texas won the toss, Texas said, hey, get him out there. And Florida did that. What's up, Reem? What's up? Okay, job. Like, I'm sorry. I see you guys are talking a ton, so I'm trying to keep up with everybody, but it's just a lot. But look, this was Florida's game the entire time. Really, it was Florida took the lead. Florida never gave it up. I also just realized that late touchdown, that late touchdown screwed my over. It did, or screwed my under because it went over. But this was Florida just going out there and winning, right? Like that's all that was. And we'll talk more about that when we get back with this live episode of Locked On Gators. It is the weekend. It's time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash streaks, saving more every time you order. These players delivered when it mattered most. So let's break it down. In fact, you know what? I'm not talking about a player. I'm talking about a coach. I'm giving Ron Roberts, defensive coordinator, his flowers in here. Delivered in a huge way, right? Like the way that they boxed that Texas offense for the overwhelming majority of the game was huge. And a lot of it was just scheme. A lot of it was throwing stuff at Arch Manning that he wasn't anticipating, right? There were plays where I was sending messages to the insider program, which if you want to join that, it's joinsubtext.com/LockedOnGators or go to the description below. But I was sending messages about the defensive game plan, who they had out there rotationally, and it was sick. So just like they delivered for your team, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash streaks, you save every Saturday you order, stack it up all season. You can save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday, keep the streak alive, fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply, promo period through November 18th. And this episode of Locked On Gators is also brought to you by Mazda's moving the game forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, but it's about redefining it, there are moments that do more than put points on the board, right? They move crowds, they move culture, and they keep the game moving forward. This time it's Dallas Wilson. This time it is Dallas Wilson that kept the game moving forward, that made 2 touchdown catches. One was an easy one. One was an insane catch and run where he got bumped by a defender that was out of bounds and kind of saved him from going out of bounds and scored a touchdown on it. It was beautiful. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Thanks again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever in the podcast and on YouTube. And my goodness, Florida, they did it. Brandon, did the team come out healthy? Didn't see the backup running back, number 24. Yeah, Jacoby Jackson did not play in this game. Duke Clark was running back too. So there's that. And also, like, Duke Clark didn't play much at all. I don't know if we have the official snap counts yet, or I know we don't have the official snap counts yet, but didn't play much at all. I do think that some of the offensive play calls, especially early on, were just sick. What's up, T? Like that opening drive, it was like a 3rd and 4-ish, maybe. And they ran jet power read with Lagway to Vernell Brown III, and Vernell Brown III picked up a 14-yard rush on it. It was a huge play. Just absolutely monster play there. Love to see it. So that was huge there. There was the timeout that I know a lot of people hated, and then he scored a touchdown, so it didn't matter. There was the first down throw to Hayden Hansen, and on that, I'm not even talking about that play, or I'm not talking about the actual play part of that. Aiden Mizell was in the backfield on that play, which was really interesting. It was Jaden Ball, DJ Lagway, Aiden Mizell, which was really interesting there. Don't tell players that are in the Hall of Fame are overrated. We'll always have a chance because of our defense. That's the thing, right? Like we will, the Florida Gators will always have a chance to win as long as this defense is playing this way. Again, like Texas scored 21. Congratulations. For most of that game, Florida's defense was putting belt to ass on them. They really were. They were just smacking them. Actually, what was Florida's havoc rate? Do we have that yet? Yeah, 81st percentile for havoc rate. It was just, it was massive. I mean, defense was just balling there, generating pressure, living in the backfield against Arch Manning, just getting after him. And again, a lot of it was scheme based. A lot of it was, and they pointed it out sometimes on the broadcast. You know, there was the one play where I forgot who was all out there, but there were 3 down linemen, 1 stand-up edge rusher, 1 stand-up mugged linebacker. Those 2 dropped back. The 2 stand-ups dropped back, and Jaden Robinson came rushing, and it was still just a 4-man rush, but sim pressure got to you, got the pressure there. I mentioned Devin Moore. If you're going to line up in the boundary with no receiver out there against Ron Roberts, you can probably bet that a corner is coming off the edge there, and a corner is going to be getting after you there on that one. I'm trying to find the messages where I sent some of the lineups. Yeah, Tyreek Sepp and George Gums were standing up on the edge on one play. Jeremiah McLeod and Jaden Woods were on the interior for one point. It was like stuff like that was just like he was calling just disgusting play calls. It was so filthy what he was doing to Arch Manning. I feel like he was going to get in trouble for child abuse. Like he was beating the crap out of Arch Manning there. Just completely dominant performance there. Love to see it. I have this one I tweeted about was George Gums on one edge, Jaden Woods at one edge, Cam James lined up on the interior defensive line, Miles Graham and Aaron Childs stand up on the interior, like mugged up linebackers. It like Ron Roberts was just cooking. There's no other way to put it. Ron Roberts was cooking. JLB, love you too. I mean, Jaden Woods was just creating pressure after pressure. He was operating with insane flexibility on the edge. It was tough. These guys just, they were hooping. Like, there's no other way to put it. They were hooping. There's no other way to put it. Sharif Denson, I don't know if we have the numbers yet, but I'd be willing to bet that this was the most Sharif Denson has ever been used as a pass rusher. I'd be pretty willing to bet that, just because, you know, like he was consistently lined up at star, consistently coming off the edge rushing. What's up, Job? Yeah, Jaden Robinson stepped up. It was lovely to see. Like he's another guy that's just been kind of balling out there. I'm checking the PFF to see if we have the numbers yet. We don't have any of the information that. Okay, that's super cool. They tell you that they have some, but they don't. Bryce Thornton. Cormani played one of his worst games as a Gator, but it still wasn't an awful game. It wasn't good, but it still wasn't awful. But he got beat a few times. He got bailed out by a bad ball being thrown or pressure getting to Arch Manning, but it is like Cormani's going to be volatile. He is. He's stepped up a lot since he got here. He's stepped up a lot since Colorado. He's developed a lot since Colorado. He's going to be volatile for a little bit. But when you get him when he's going, he's going. Like this was easily his worst game, and he still was acceptable, right? Like he did his job. He got toasted on the touchdown and the play before the touchdown. Like he got beat bad a few times. But again, for the most part, almost came up huge with a pick there. It's big. It's big. He's someone that's going to be boom or bust. He's going to be volatile for a little bit, but just sit back and enjoy it. Mekhi Boyero, best game as a pass rusher that we've seen from him. Jeremiah McLeod, best game career-wise that we've seen from him. I know he's still young. Jordan Castell, I know he got the pick, but that was an awful game by Jordan Castell. That was a bad game. Outside of the pick, it was a really bad game. So there's that. Simon, I like him too, but he got beat quite a few times, more than I'm comfortable with. Like you don't want to be looking at the play and it's like, oh yeah, the one time they threw to Devin Moore, it was picked, and every other time they weren't throwing there. Not a great sign. But it was one hell of a game, right? I saw someone ask about Javari Flowers. I don't remember seeing him. I'll be honest with you. I do not remember seeing him there. Louis, they can't extend him no matter what. I can buy the argument of letting him coach the rest of the year. We have a ceiling, and it's not a good ceiling. Yep. Dallas played amazing. Dallas balled, right? Like, and Dallas did what we were hoping Dallas would do. But is he going to be every year a freshman has to come in and save Billy's ass? Like, I'd rather just have a coach that can actually do it. And if he can get them to do it, then he gets them to do it. I'm sitting here. I'm a fan. I'm an analyst. I'm not making those calls. I'm out here watching what they do, and I'm going to judge them. But man, I will also say, J. Michael Sturdivant, probably the best game that we saw from him. Only 2 catches, but big yards both times, important yards both times. Aiden Mizell had a good amount of targets. But yeah, I mean, Florida, like, you got to clean some things up. But for now, like, I hope these guys just enjoy this win. Like, yeah, you need to clean things up. You need to be better in some areas, but they also do deserve to enjoy this win as players. Florida had a good bit of penalties. Texas had more. Right? So I think that's a big part. Texas went just 3 for 11 on third down. Huge. Florida went 7 for 14. Like, having not just more conversions, more opportunities, but a significantly higher percentage is huge. Florida did their thing, right? Like it's tough for me to complain too much. Now you got Texas A&M, and Florida also dominated time possession, by the way. But now you got Texas A&M. Big one, but you can do it. If guys are going to keep balling and playing with confidence that we saw, you can make it happen. We will be back on Monday, talk more Florida Gators, talk about this win. I'm sure someone will be mad about something. Why wouldn't they be? But that's just where we're at. I am Brandon Olsen. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work about the Florida Gators at swampsignal.substack.com. And I will see you all on Monday at the absolute latest.